Welcome back to the Character Corner with your hosts Chris and Deepam here. We are back to do part 2 of our Robin's Character Corner. If you're new to this is basically our podcast where we it's honestly just an excuse for Deepam and I to talk about comic book characters that we love or hate sometimes. And we go through their entire comic book history. Sometimes we just do runs. I do believe this is kind of putting the end before the beginning. I believe in October we're going to be doing, instead of doing a comic book character, we're going to actually go through the Ultimate Spider-Man run. So we're going to do that entire run.
So before we get any further, let's have this quick conversation. You haven't played Spider-Man yet for PS4.
I mean, I have started.
Oh,
yeah, so this is what happened.
Second playthrough.
So this is what happened. It took me 2 hours to get home from work on Thursday. And halfway through that ride, when you're sitting in traffic on a ride from home, that should be, you're going home, you should be getting comfortable. You start thinking things like, I'm not going in tomorrow. And so I woke up on Friday, was like, I'm sick. I'm not going in. And so while I, was supposed to be, reading up and putting some stuff together for this Robin's Character Corner, the back of my mind, I'm like, we also have already covered these characters a little bit too, so you have a little bit of time. So I set up this Spider-Man exclusive console and put Spider-Man in, and I started playing. So I'm very, very, very early beginning stages.
Yeah, but let's just talk about the beginning. Like jumping out that window the first time, you feel like Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, so I said this on the Nerf yesterday. It's a lot like it feels like the Arkham games, and what I mean by that is it feels like that in like you become the character. Like when you play the Arkham games, you are Batman.
Yeah.
When Insomniac.
The thing about this is it's because Spider-Man's two personas actually matter. The balance of Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
See, this is why me and you are great as podcast hosts, because we did not talk about this before. This is literally, he's springing this on me now. I was literally just about to make that point. No, I'm serious. Like the difference between this and the Arkham games is you do play some pieces as Peter Parker. And actually, sometimes other characters, because I got the one. I remember when they announced it, it was like, yeah, you'll play as other characters. You'll play as MJ. You're like, fuck, I'm going to play as MJ as. And then you're like, oh, no, wait, I see why. Okay.
This is the most badass MJ in the mythos ever. She's awesome.
Well, that's the other thing, too. It's like they've changed a little bit of some of the characters, but just like some of these games have done, you're like, no, this actually makes sense. It actually makes it better. And I'm actually liking this. And yeah, like when that played, that when she was like, yeah, well, this is what happened 15 minutes ago, and you play as her 15 minutes ago, you're like, oh, wait, you know what? This is like, so now it's not even like, so if the Arkham games are a Batman simulator, what this Spider-Man game is, it's a comic book come to life. Because you now have done the thing where you now go and see what some other characters are doing while the main character is doing something else. That's what you're doing here.
It's not even that. You know what it is? That is a Batman simulator, but this is a Spider-Man simulator, and this goes to show you, historically, difference between DC and Marvel.
No, absolutely, 100%.
If Peter Parker matters and Bruce Wayne doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I am purposely not trying to jump into this game too much. Until I get everything I need to get done before this.
I'm playing it again because the story's that good.
No, it is. And I found myself like I was supposed to be reading some of these issues last night, and I found myself playing for like an hour and a half, and I'm like, this is dope. I literally had to pull myself away.
It's that good.
Yeah, it is. This is fun.
We'll let you finish the story, and then we'll figure out when we're doing the Character Corner on that. We'll have that interspersed with the Ultimate Spider-Man run.
Absolutely, it's going to happen. Well, like I said at the beginning of this, we're not here to talk Spider-Man. We're doing that next month. We are here to finish up the Robins, and like I said, the main two Robins here we're talking about are Tim Drake and Damian Wayne. And here's the thing: this is probably not. I don't want to I hate making promises about shortening of lengths because they always end up going longer than that. But we have covered both of these characters and at least their origins before. I mean, we actually did an entire character corner. Tim Drake was our first Robin, and that was like one of our earlier character corners here. And we decided we're going to revisit because there's a lot of things that happened in some of the Rebirth stuff with Detective Comics, which I caught up on, which yes, we need to talk about this. But it's funny to me because so when we started doing the last one, we talked about how it was Grayson and Todd, right? I mean, they're like the wayward sons, and while all the Robins are technically viewed as the sons of Batman, I feel like Tim and Damian are the ones that are actually the sons. Like, Grayson became a ward of Bruce Wayne. He never really was this, eventually.
Retroactively, they've all been adopted.
Right. Retroactively, they've all done that. But initially, from the get go, right? Tim was actually adopted, and then Damian is actually his flesh and blood son. And I think in the way, I mean, he still makes mistakes with both of them. I mean, Bruce. I think with the Robins, you definitely see that Bruce lacked he lacked his parents growing up.
Well, that's also part of the cool thing about reading all these like kind of in a row is that you get to see Bruce grow and develop as a father figure. Like he's better with Damian than he was with Tim, and he's better with Tim than he was with Jason. Clearly.
Oh, absolutely, and
basically raised himself. Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, to the point where he kicked him out of the cave. Like, things went left with Dick. So it just turned out better than it did for Jason.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and it's also funny seeing, because I also look at so to me, you do the pairings of Grayson and Drake and Todd and Damian because Dick and Tim are basically they represent the good elements of Batman, right? Batman without the baggage, even though they have their own baggage and they have their own things, they're kind of the what you would assume to be Batman. Jason and Damian are the bad boys. They represent the anger and rage of Bruce Wayne, but they did it in different ways. Like when you look at the way both of these characters were done, it's not just that Bruce Wayne as a character himself became a better father and became better understanding how to raise children, but I also feel like the writers themselves also be starting to understand too is like what these Robins represented because. Damian's track is very similar to Jason's. Fans don't really like him. He's arrogant. He'll make you pull your hair out. He has a lot of anger and rage. But the way and he's died and come back. But the way they've treated him, the way they stuck with him, it makes it so the story is he's getting the story that Jason never got as a Robin.
Right.
So. I guess we start first with Tim.
Tim Drake. So Chris and I are about the same age, and when we talk about Robin and talk about the Robin we grew up with, we're talking about Tim Drake. He was introduced as Tim Drake in Batman 436 in 1989. He slipped on the Robin suit to save Batman and Dick Grayson in Batman 442, and his first appearance in the modern Robin suit was in Detective hold on, let me make sure this issue right, because it's relevant to what I'm about to say. It was Batman number 457. Norm Breyfogle drew it, and he passed away on the 27th, so just a few days ago. And if the name rings out in you remember from somewhere earlier in the decade, his very public battle with cancer highlighted the freelance nature of comic book artists and comic book writers. He didn't have insurance to cover his health, and so there were lots of the community kind of rallied and helped find ways to assist him with his medical bills through online fundraiser. But it's very sad. But this is I just thought it was really interesting that we're having to talk about Tim Drake on kind of very sad day for comics.
Yeah. It and like I said, that is the Tim Drake. That is the Robin. The most we've talked about this before. When we did the Robin character corner, we basically said that Tim Drake was the forgotten Robin, and technically that's Stephanie, not Tim. But we're gonna be real and be fair. But what we say about that because it always seems that when we get modern depictions in TV shows, cartoons, or even a streaming service, the depiction that you get of Robin, at least the look, it's always Tim Drake's look. it's always his aesthetic, right? It's the cape, the dark cape with and you get the bow staff. It's always a very important one to me, and it's like I don't think people understand that giving someone like Dick Grayson a bow staff doesn't make sense because again, Dick was an acrobat. Didn't need a bow staff. Like matter of fact, if you think about it, very rarely it wasn't until I think he became Nightwing that he actually even used the sticks. It's like he didn't need to. His whole thing was being an acrobat. Right. Jason was kind of the same way because depending on which version of Jason you go with, his first background was being an acrobat as well. If you said what?
I just laughed because of pre-crisis.
Right. Pre-crisis is an acrobat. Post-crisis, he's just more of a natural fighter. Tim wasn't a fighter. Tim, if you want to be honest, Tim's a nerd.
Tim's a nerd.
He's a nerd. He's a nerd who figured out Batman. Again, like we said, we covered this when we did the Batman run, A Lonely Place of Dying, shortly after, I guess not shortly, but after Jason's death. Batman is clearly grieving, and we see that. I mean, if you're reading the current Tom King Batman, Batman doesn't take emotions well. He doesn't do grieving and handling bad emotions well. It's not good.
He doesn't process.
Last
time he processed, he put on a bat suit.
Right. The last time every time he processes tragedy, it's never good.
No.
So you have a young kid who basically figured out. He figured out that Dick Grayson was Robin because of he was seeing the way Robin would move and the somersaults he would do, and he was like, I know that.
Quadruple somersault. He's only seen it once in his life.
Yeah.
And can I commit some blasphemy here?
Go ahead.
I never about to talk about Tim Drake and his origins, and for a more in-depth read, I would say go back to the Character Corner.
Yeah.
I like James Tynion's version better.
Are you talking about the one that they did in New 52?
Lonely Place in Living?
Oh, The Lonely Place. Okay. I didn't see that one.
The Detective Comics one? The Detective Comics one.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
That version of this origin, I love.
Yeah, no.
It's so concise. It's so... And it touches on how smart Tim is from the get-go. Because if you listen to the Character Corner, I touch on some revisions.
We're going to get to those.
Tim Drake's origin
They're not
during New 52. It's gone now. You can all come out. Don't be afraid. Tim's Tim again.
Yeah.
Because in the Detective Comics room we're going to talk about, they go through the origin. They retell it. And it's Tim who says, well, I believe the line was, if you work backwards from the knowledge that Dick Grayson is Robin and Bruce Wayne is Batman, it's easier to figure out.
Yeah. Yeah. Like once you have that set, then and they show so what you have here is Tim different than every other Robin that's been there. There's two things that stand Tim out. One, he had both his parents at the time. He was not an orphan. He did not suffer in some tragedy. He wasn't trying to be a Robin. He was actually trying to get Dick Grayson back in the Robin suit because he knew that Batman needed a Robin. And he's very, very smart, and he has natural detective skills. And that makes him a unique Robin in that out of when you look at everybody else that's here, and I think you can kind of look back at it and say that in some way Tim did need to be Robin, and Tim did want this, and Tim needed this just as much as part of his life as because he's clearly you being a hero and jumping off of rooftops, like there has to be something in you to want to do that.
It's interesting because I was rereading some Flash stuff, and there's an issue of, I guess it's right when he's after Blitz, when he's got his memories back and he's showing everyone who he is. Mm-hmm. He goes by the tower and he's talking, and you see while he's captioned about Tim, it says he's not driven like Bruce or Jason or even Dick by loss. He's driven by an intense need to do good.
Yeah, and that's what makes Tim. Unique. Yeah, it makes him unique. It makes him very, very unique. If you want to be honest here, it puts him more in line, you say, with Barbara. Mm-hmm. Than with the other Robins, because every other Robin, really? Right? So when you get Jason and Dick, you get two that are motivated by loss, what they don't have. In a way, we'll get into Damian a little bit later. Damian's kind of the same way. Damian is basically, he's seeking the approval of his father. He's seeking some kind of love that he never got because basically grown in an artificial womb, absent of any love. Tim didn't have that. Tim actually had two loving parents. I mean, he eventually, because I think you cannot have Batman and Robin without some kind of tragedy. He eventually has tragedy befall him, but like he has a whole life, and that's part of his story is his relationship with his father, and his father finding out that he's Robin, and all that stuff being in there, being part of that. All that stuff is in there, and I think that giving him that complete picture is what made him such an interesting Robin. To the point.
And
go ahead.
I was just saying, just continue that kind of looking at the 30,000-foot view of Tim Drake. It's interesting because he was the Robin for so long, he kind of became the Robin of a generation. Like they dealt with teenage pregnancy, and they dealt with like gun violence in schools. Like they did a lot of stuff. People forget that this Robin run lasted for over 180 issues.
God damn it! See, we're two on this. Are we Batman and Robin? Because I'm just gonna be. It's like we don't. I don't think you guys understand. Even when we do the character corner, while I do come up with some kind of stuff here, I do not, for the most part, share it with. At this point,
like this, like whatever. We both know it.
At this point, we used to go back and share like the issues. We have not done that the last several character corners, and I'm saying this because I was literally just about to bring up the fact that that Robin Volume 3, I think it is. Yeah. It is 183 issues and goes and it runs from 1993 to 2009. Like it is up. Like I looked at that and I had to take a double look and I was like, wait a minute. Robin ran from 1993 to 2009. Like, but this is something we've seen with other Bat characters. Remember the Batgirl Volume 1, we were like, wait, Cassandra was the first Batgirl to have her own run, and you look at it, it's like, it's not short. It's like 60-something issues. Like,
yeah, and we're like, oh, that's great. And then we look up and see Tim has just carried this fucking book for 16 years.
And so you're right. It's like when you think Robin, it's so funny to me because when did Wally take over?
After Crisis, so 87 or 88.
Look at, if Wally same way. Wally took over the Flash book and became Flash for about that long, and here goes Tim takes over as Robin and is Robin for almost about that long. It's like these are two characters. Again, when we say Wally West is our Flash, that's the reason why, because he was the Flash. When we say Tim Drake is Robin, because look,
183 issues. So one of my favorite panels in comics is there's this Young Justice issue where Impulse and Superboy are complaining about their favorite comics being canceled because their comics have just gotten canceled. Mm-hmm. They say, yeah, man, our favorite books are canceled, but these nonsense books just stay on the shelves just because their affiliation maybe with a larger character. And then Robin walks through and says, hey, guys, what are you guys talking about? And they just glare at him.
Because it's true.
It's so good.
But you're right about what Tim's book dealt with, because at some point they introduced Stephanie Brown. We'll get her in a little bit. Dealing with her getting pregnant. Her dealing. There's at one point I know she talked about being raped, and I believe that's when Tim almost kills. I can't remember. He almost killed some character. Can't remember who it was. But yeah, it's like these books deal with all this kind of stuff, and you have, it's the same reason why you bring up Teen Titans. You have a teenage character set in this Batman world that young people can kind of relate to. It's like maybe you're too young to be Batman, but you can always be Robin, and look at what Robin can do. And it's not just. And again, with Tim Drake, it's so different because it's not just that he's a Robin and he has his training, but because he's also so smart. But we should go back to it as well, like with we talked about this before, but like they bring back Robin after having killed off Jason Todd, and I think one of the things they've done to kind of fix the mistake they made with Jason is Jason was conceived to basically be a Dick Grayson clone, which is never a good idea,
especially initially.
Yeah, initially it was, and then when he was no longer a Dick Grayson clone, then they changed his they changed his origin post Crisis. You then have made this character who you're not going to like because you see him as he's the also ran. It's the Batman only got him because he was lonely because Dick left. So you never get this connection.
It's funny because You're right. He would never give it a chance because what they did was like, well, oh, we can't make it the anti-Dick. Like, wait a second. Like, you can't take away all redeeming qualities from the character and expect people to like it.
Yeah. So they didn't give him a chance. With Tim, you're giving some way. So first is the way he comes in it that he doesn't want to be Robin. There's him. He's trying to get Dick Grayson back to being Robin. He's saying that Batman needs a Robin. He's kind of easing his origin. Kind of eases people back into the idea that Batman and Robin can never die, and Batman and Robin needs to exist as a unit. And he's never seen as replacing replacing Dick Grayson. Or replacing Jason.
Even funnier than that, because Marv Wolfman wrote this, and he's a master of kind of finding ways to involve the audience. Tim Drake's a fan.
Yeah.
He's literally like the kid reading the comic. Like, if you figured out I could be Batman, maybe you could be Robin. Like, he's the ultimate fan character.
Yep. And so that eases people back in, and then later on, when you get to some of these later issues, when Jason comes back and things like that, and Jason, what I like about the other thing about the Robins is they fall into these groups. Like Tim gets along with everybody but Damian because Damian doesn't get along with anybody really, except for eventually gets along with Grayson, but Tim and Jason start forming this bond later on. That obviously is not there between Jason and Dick Grayson, but Jason has this bond with Tim because Tim's basically like, even though he got beat, Jason beat him up in that one Titans issue, because Tim sees him, he's like, listen, you see me as the guy who replaced you, and you think that I don't understand what you're going through, but I was the kid that was filling the shoes of a dead Robin. Like, I also went through some shit. Like, it took me forever to and there's one thing I will say I get about the New 52. While I hate the costume, the whole idea of him, he was never really Robin. He was Red Robin. Mm-hmm. But the reason behind it, I kind of understood. It's like, I never felt comfortable filling in that shoes because you were the Robin that died. You were the Robin. You weren't just the Robin that died. You were the Robin that died in the line of duty.
Right.
You died doing what Robins did. And so it's like they formed this bond, and you kind of understand, like you see that Tim gets it, and Jason and Tim have this friendship almost, Yeah,
because when Jason came back and tried to kill Bruce and tried to kill Dick and tried to kill him, and everyone just kind of reacted to anger and defiance, and Tim's like, dude, you got killed. I get it. I'd be pretty upset if I got killed too.
Right. It's just like, and so it's funny seeing those how the Robins all get along because they all have these different tragedies. They're all sons, if you will, to a guy who, let's be honest, has his own issues. So again, like I said, we covered a lot of the Tim stuff. We won't cover too much. I guess we can jump all the way. You want to jump all the way to Crisis? Identity Crisis? Since we covered
we have to. Which, by the way, man, I reread that. And first of all, good job, Ryan Meltzer. It's a really good book.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the few crises that that I like. It's before the Crisis name literally just kind of made me. It just, and again, none of the crises are super bad. I just get annoyed.
So soon after Tim Drake had been revealed to be Robin to his father said, "No more, you're done." And he quits. He respects his father's wishes. Stephanie steps in. We'll talk about that later. But then eventually comes back to being Robin. So there's a period where he's Robin and his dad knows. And during Identity Crisis, which we're not going to get into here, I'm not doing it.
We've done it like 4 or 5 times already, guys. Listen to any of our DC books. Like, I think the Wally West one, the Tim Drake one, the first time we did it, the Teen Titans one. Listen to any of them.
Let's just say that someone's targeting the loved ones of heroes, and Tim's father dies.
The hands of Captain
Boomerang. The scene that they wrote and drew for that. Brad Meltzer and Rags Morales. My God.
Mm-hmm.
Tim stripping off the Robin suit, and then it says, and then what was it like? Jack Drake and Jack and Tim Drake, father and son, at the beginning of the issue, and then the panel at the end, Batman and Robin, orphans, and you're like, what the
Yeah,
comics.
if that doesn't hit you a little bit, you're just like, Batman and Robin, orphans. You're like, God damn it. It's like, again, what are Batman and Robin without some tragedy?
Man, it's and then from there, Bruce offers to adopt Tim. Tim resists it, and yeah,
Well, Tim suffers from here. Like Tim suffers several over the years. Suffers several major deaths. I mean, in an Infinite Crisis, Superboy dies. In Batman War Game, Stephanie dies. It's like he goes through a lot of shit of death. Like fairly frequent after this, I guess I want to quickly do the Stephanie Brown stuff real quick, just because it's not.
Let's talk about Steph.
Because we did, again, with Steph, we've already covered her. If you listen to it's Batgirls Part 1, we did her along with Barbara Gordon. We cover her entire stuff, her from Spoiler to her shortest as Robin, I think, in existence. It was like 2 issues, wasn't it?
It was longer than that because she also did some she did 2 Teen Titans issues.
Okay.
Like they did a good job of seeding her around the universe so that you would see that Steph was Robin. And so yeah, when Tim is forced to walk away from the Robin mantle, Bruce makes Steph Robin. He later admits he did this to draw Tim back.
And that's been because at first they made it seem like Steph came in and demanded that she be Robin. And then I think, I know there's a lot of controversy around that decision because, and I can get that because it also doesn't seem like, well, it's kind of weird. I felt like we already had done that, right? We did that with Jason. So Bruce.
I don't think Jason's purpose was to make Dick come back.
Well, maybe not to make Dick come back, but it was one of those things where Bruce made a rash decision because, he was lonely and whatnot. It just, I don't know. I seem that it didn't.
No, Bruce was mad. Bruce was mad that Jack had taken Tim away from him.
True.
Bruce was trying to shake, because in his mind it was Jack and Tim's head just needed to shake Tim out of it, and thought that seeing Stephanie in the suit would do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't, and she died.
Yeah. Batman War Game. She tries to kick off one of his plans for ending gangs in Gotham, not realizing that one of the characters was actually his alter ego, and it was Post Malone or something like that, and Batches Malone, and which is basically Bruce in
Bruce with a mustache.
Yeah, Bruce with a mustache. And
be real, like Patch is Wolverine with an eye patch.
Mm-hmm.
Patches Max Malone is Bruce Wayne with a mustache.
And she's killed by, it was Black Mask that killed her, right? Was it Black Mask?
Yeah, Black Mask killed her.
Yeah.
Or killed her, didn't kill her. I don't know. The whole thing.
As far as I'm concerned, she did die. Because I think while Leslie Thompson does bring her back, she did die on that table. She was dead. So, and that pretty much ends Stephanie as Robin. I mean, like I said, I to me, I think it's important because it does come up later on about, why was her costume never in the memoriam for Robin's. I know Bruce at one point later on down the line does tell her, it's like, no, you were a Robin. You were, and now I believe her costume is hanging up in the Batcave in some of these books. Yeah. Right. But I do believe, because we'll get into that when we get to the Rebirth stuff. But I do believe that if you really want Steph, like Batgirl, like she was in Batgirl. She had her own book. I think that was a volume 4. Even her as
22 issues. 22 or 23 issues.
Yeah, it had enough.
Think of the run, man. It's a fun book. I really enjoyed that book.
Yeah, and so again, I was like, you got to mention her as a Robin because she did put the suit on in continuity. I know there was also I don't really talk about the Robin with the Dark Knight Returns and stuff like that, but like she was actually in continuity as a Robin. But I just feel like when it comes to Stephanie, she's there's so much more to her character. Than her just being, a Robin. There was her as Spoiler and then her as Batgirl, probably way more significant than, at least for her character. Now, her dying does bring Tim back. But like I said, it's that's just where I'm gonna leave it at for that. So, yeah, I think Bruce formally adopts Tim in Batman 654. And I like that issue. It's a nice little issue where, you know, Bruce basically it shows you how Bruce is not comfortable with these kind of things at all.
At all.
Because he starts to say it, and he basically goes, "I'm not good at this." Alfred, can you finish this? Can you handle this? Because I don't know what to say. You know. But let me see. Yeah, what is this? It's like I've given you a lot of thought. I've given your life a lot of thought lately. You need more. You deserve more. You have more. You deserve more than you have. Your father and mother are dead. I forgot about that. Also, after his father dies, his mother goes kind of crazy. How does his mother die? I never could remember how his mother died.
He dies in. Tim's mother dies in I think Robin the third miniseries, because what happened was they did 3 miniseries, and then they did the ongoing.
Yeah.
So it's really longer than one you think, which is even more impressive.
Right. I mean, it's a long time.
It's the same time. It's the same trip where his dad gets crippled.
Got you. No, wait. I thought his mother was alive after his father.
Oh, it is a stepmother.
That's what it is. His stepmother.
That's
yeah.
a stepmother.
Yeah. Okay. You have no one. I'm not doing a good job of saying this. Alfred, lead on. Yes, Master Bruce. Let's show Master Tim what we have in mind. Because Bruce just doesn't. He can't do this kind of stuff. He just tells him, it's like, this could be your room, Tim. It was Dick's. He would want you to live here as he did. I understand. You've already given me the stable. That isn't enough. We're a team. Wayne Manor should be your home. Dick was my ward legally. It gave him security. I think you should have that too. However, the laws have changed. I can't adopt you as my ward. For you to have the security you feel you deserve, I'd have to adopt you as my son. I don't know how you feel about that, Tim. I don't know. I do know that I can never replace your father, but I'd have to try. And it's so funny because this is this awkward scene where, you know, Tim's hugging Bruce. They're both still in their costumes. He's hugging Bruce, crying, and you see Bruce almost not know what to do with his hand. Like, Bruce is so awkward at this point. He doesn't know how to show emotion. But this goes, when we get to Damon, I'm going to show, like, people go, no, I can't stand Damon. I was like, you do realize he is his father's son, right?
Probably why I can't stand it.
Right. It's like nobody can stand Batman. Nobody actually likes, like, when you hear, like, it's so funny when you hear some of the other people, the other family talk about Bruce and Batman. Like, there's at one point, like, I can't remember where it is in this. I think it is, I can't think of it. I don't know if it's a Rebirth Detective Comics issues or something else like that. But it might be the Red Robin one where you have, I think it's Red Robin. And when he's in the Red Robin run, he's talking to Stephanie. He's having Stephanie help him with something. And she's like, no, Bruce isn't crazy. She just looks at him like, are you out of your mind? Bruce is absolutely crazy. He's out of his fucking mind. Like, what are you doing? Like, you know Bruce is crazy. Don't say Bruce wouldn't do something like that. That's crazy.
All know Bruce is crazy.
You all know Bruce is crazy. So it's so funny to me because it's like, then Damien comes to the thing, you're like, oh, and it's almost like it snaps and Bruce is like, oh, so is that what I sound like? Oh, yeah, we got to fix that. I can't. That's not going to fly. That's not going to fly. So, what do you want to go into next? Do you want to kind of go into the Damien stuff, and then
we have to talk about how he got here? So, Damien kind of shows up one day, and this is when Robin's been adopted. He is Tim Drake Wayne. He is Robin, and all that goes to shit.
Well, thank Grant Morrison, because Grant Morrison is a crazy person, and Grant Morrison sees all the little nice pictures. This is why I can't wait. We didn't bring this up on the mailbag. I cannot wait for that Grant Morrison Green Lantern run. Because it's going to scare the shit out of me.
I don't know.
It's going to.
I don't know. I've really enjoyed what's been going on with Green Lantern, and
too bad.
Grant Morrison's. I know. I'm just saying, like, it all may not. And now that was all the dream of a giant fish. Here's the news story. Like, I don't know. He could just like
Look, I love Grant Morrison.
X-Men, I was very excited, but I was also very worried.
Look, I love Grant Morrison's writing, but when I tell you, if you are attached to something, or if you like the way the status quo is going, if your characters are happy, Grant Morrison gets on your book, strap in. because he literally we covered this when we started it. It starts off it's very silly with Batman literally taking down Batmen, man bats. And you think everything's fine, and then Talia shows up and she literally drops Damien off the board. Hey, by the way, this is your son. Have fun.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Not only is he your son, I've been training him since birth to be a perfect assassin.
Yes. You know? I mentioned it before. Damian Wayne is basically a Bruce Wayne clone. You know, it's basically if Bruce Wayne was born in a test tube, raised by assassins, and denied the basic level of a child to be given, that is Damian. And I totally get why some people are just like, I can't stand him. He's kind of like Jason in a lot of respect. He's arrogant, rude, cocky. But even more than that, I think would really. And I was just thinking about this. This is why I understand why what really sticks to Damian. Besides, and we'll get into this when we hit the New 52 stuff. Besides the fact that they keep resetting certain elements of the DC universe, so characters can't grow, which I think is the biggest tragedy of Damian to me is that every time he gets some growth, they almost like reset the universe, so it feels like he goes back to the beginning with a new set of creators, so you don't get that growth stain.
That's fair. Let's be real about who Damian is. Damian's an asshole.
Well,
yes, he grows and he changes, but he's an asshole. I'm going to direct you to one of my favorite issues of all time, Detective Comics. I believe it's 675 or 775. The big meeting when they're talking about Batwoman, which we'll talk about later. But there's one panel where they're having a quote unquote family meeting. I don't know. What do you think, Damian? I don't think any of you should be allowed to call yourselves Bat Family. That's all you have to say. What else is there to say? What a dick.
No, he is. Well, here's the thing.
Just a dick.
Well, here's the thing. So beyond the creative issues, which I admit, the things I think that I don't think you're supposed to like Damian for the same reason you don't like the legacy at your job. You do not like the person who got in there who is a legacy, because that's what we hate about a lot of these legacy people, right? They come in, they believe they're owed the position because of who their parents are. They don't have to really work to get it. Because here's the thing: he shortly after it gets put into he doesn't even get put in the Robin costume. He literally almost kills Tim to put on the Robin.
He only beats Tim damn near to death.
Yeah, he beats Tim damn near to death to take his costume and put a costume on. And they don't have to work to get they work hard, but they don't have to work hard to get to where they're at, and they don't care about anybody but themselves. It's like Damian Wayne is the rich legacy who fully believes that all you guys have been here before. You guys have just been warming my seat. I'm here now. I'm the true heir. I'm his son. This is what I'm owed. This is what I deserve. You all are just I don't need anybody else. I get it because it's my birthright.
And now kind of saying it out loud and hearing you, because you made a really good point, but it also reminds me that kind of the reason why he almost feels reset sometimes is because we get the issues where we get the introspection. I've read issues where it's pointed out that I act this way because I'm insecure because he chose you. I was thrust upon him. Well, like you get to see the layers of Damian, and I'm glad that he goes back. I'm almost kind of glad that we get quote unquote the reset, because it shows that he works to keep that front up. That when it crumbles, it crumbles. But like even when he's like, they were the first issue of Batman New 52 is when they're all going to some party at the manor, and Batman says running diagnostics for facial recognition, and Tim says, "Tell me he's not using facial rec for this party," and Damian just snaps, "The party is using it to remember who you are, Drake."
Right.
Like it's and I want to make sure that we're clear on this. The Damian you get in the beginning is not the Damian we have now. Like there have been some, like Chris said, missteps and resets, but he has grown as a character. He has shown appreciation for his family. Like, and you've seen like the introspection of even a 13-year-old to say, I act this way because I have no choice. I was raised away. I don't know how to be any other way, and it's where I'm most comfortable. And let's be honest, I'm an assassin dressed in like high society and costumes. This is very uncomfortable for me.
Well, you got to remember also, like, I look at Damon as out of all, because all the Robins represent a piece of Batman or Bruce, right? To me, Damon, besides his anger, Damon represents the core Bruce, the core little child of Bruce. Well, not just that, but the scared little boy who just wants the approval of his parents. It's like so much of Damien's stuff can be boiled down to he's because especially when he starts going on to redemptive arc. Because right before we got on this, I was reading something. I was reading Robin Son of Batman, where he kind of goes on his atonement for his year of blood.
Right.
And you really get in there, you're like, oh, okay. Like, he really is trying to now, atone for he understands he's trying to atone for the sins he's done in his past because he's literally trying to make his father proud. Like, everything, like, there's that scene when, and we're jumping all around here because we're kind of doing this one different than we have at other ones because we've kind of covered all this up before in order. When we did the Batman run, when we did the Batman stuff, we pretty much covered all of Damien's stuff as we went along through this. But when Bruce disappears during that Morrison run, I guess it was Batman R.I.P.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it was way after Batman R.I.P. It was during the Batman and Robin run when Batman finally comes back. And his father's back. He says something because before then, like, Damien, while he was in the costume, there was a lot of back and forth whether he should be in the costume, he shouldn't be in the costume. And Dick, when he takes over as Batman, pretty much fires Tim Drake and lets Damien be Robin. And when Bruce comes back, Damien kind of is, and it's so striking because it seems so out of character, but it's the real Damien. He looks at his father, it's like, so do I get to keep being Robin? It's like all he's looking for is the approval of his dad. And it's a very striking thing. Like you said, there are these moments when you tend to forget. You're like, this kid's an asshole. He's fucking terrible. What the fuck is wrong with him? I hate him. And then these moments you go, wait a minute, this is just a small child who.
He's a kid. The kid's a kid.
He's a legit kid. He's a legit kid, and he's doing everything. Could he think?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
That said, when the Robins do decide to like put him in his place, I really fucking enjoy it.
Oh no.
The fight between him and Tim and Red Robin, when Tim's like, "That's it, I'm done. I'm done holding back on this kid."
Right. Because again, the first time they because Damien decides that, well, you're wearing the Robin costume and that's mine. That's my heritage. So he decides he's going to fight Tim in the cave. And when Tim actually kind of knocks him down, Tim's like, all right, listen, kid, look, let me help you up. Like, Damien still attacks and damn near, really fucks up Tim. So Tim's like, yo, what is wrong with this little asshole? Like, I'm trying to help. Like, it's just, he can be so annoying.
So funny because during the Red Robin run, Damien breaks into Tim's warehouse and goes and sees his shadow protocols and how he's watching heroes he can see his threats, and sees that Damien is but Dick isn't. Dick's like, I'm not there because you never would be. But Damien is, he says, we need a code he'll never remember, Cousin Oliver, because they call themselves the Brady Girls, which is fucking hilarious. It fits because Dick is Marcia, Tim is Cindy, and Jason is so Jan.
Right.
And Cousin Oliver is the homunculus they all hate.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And he was like, yeah, you got to use a code that he'll never break that one. Right.
He'll never understand it. Cousin Oliver.
Right. But it was so funny because again, it's like Dick is like, no, look, I get it. I'll smooth it over with him, but I get it. I get it.
I understand it. The kid, he's Ra's al Ghul's grandson. You got to keep an eye on him.
Well, yeah. So I mean, we kind of going back to his first appearance during the Morrison run. If you reread Batman: The Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul, you also see that you also get this other idea of what Damien was supposed to be, which also becomes a thing that kind of tracks with him. That it wasn't just that he was going to be, the heir to the Bat and be Batman's son. At one point, they were actually looking at him as, Ra's, if you die and somehow your body, you can't make it back to Lazarus Pit, Damien can be a backup for you.
It's a spare body.
He's a spare body for Ra's. And so what Damien, so when you get the full back, like if you just look at Damien by himself and in the Robin suit, just with what he does and says to the other Robins, you kind of don't get it. But then when you see the fact that, he's coming from a really horrible upbringing. He is the son of Talia al Ghul. He is the grandson of Ra's al Ghul. He was supposed to be used basically as a spare body when he doesn't do what his mother wants, they basically go out there and they clone a bunch of other versions of him out there.
Yeah.
And he eventually ends up getting killed by an adult version of himself, sent by his mother, because his mother just gets fed up and is like, you're not doing what I want. So she basically makes Bruce have to choose between saving Gotham or saving saving Damian. It's just like she becomes spiteful because Damian rejects her. He rejects her and goes off and decides he's going to set his own path. And his path is going to be, he's going to make his father proud. And that means he got to give, because again, that's the other thing too, we kind of skipped over. He's raised by assassins. When he comes in, he starts killing people. His version of cleaning up crime is to kill them. And so he has to unlearn not killing. But there is some stuff that happens with him and Mr. Nobody. He ends up killing him, and Bruce kind of keeps that quiet, but that kind of comes back in the Robin, Son of Batman. But I'm trying to think if there's anything big. I guess we can do this because the Batman and Robin run with. I think that's the one where he's Robin and Dick Grayson's Batman. I think that's the one that really kind of gives a lot of good definition to
Damian. It's
Damian.
my favorite depiction of Damian. And do you want to talk about some, I guess, New 52 or maybe Rebirth stuff?
Well, let's get into before we get into the New 52. Let's go into New 52 stuff. Before then, I just want to say that what I like about the because again we've talked about all of this stuff before. What I closely want to say about the Batman and Robin stuff with Morrison, with Damian and Dick is that's where Damian eventually gets this respect for Dick Grayson. Like they become actually kind of close, because he doesn't start off respecting Dick Grayson at all. But as they go through this, like that relationship actually builds. And I found that kind of interesting because now you have Tim and Jason are kind of close, and you have Damian and Dick are kind of close. At one point, I can't remember if it's in New 52 or not. Something happened with Nightwing's book, and Damian's out there to help him. And it's like I said, it's interesting seeing how that relationship built between him, almost to the point that when you get into New 52 stuff, I'd actually even say that Damian and Dick Grayson were closer as Batman and Robin than Bruce and his own son were.
Well, before Damian dies, he says, "You're always my favorite Batman."
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because they work. You're right, and I think one of the joys of the book of Grant writing it was we got to, no, it wasn't Grant Morrison. Who ended up taking over that book?
I can't remember who took it over, but Grant started it, but I can't remember who it went to after.
It's gonna bug the hell out of me because it's a great, just kind of like you said. Not just depiction of the relationship, but kind of you watch it grow, you watch it develop. You don't get told they went through hard times and eventually figured it out. No, the book is them going through the hard times and figuring it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so it'll be our first major reboot, New 52. Do you want to talk about what they did with Tim?
Yeah,
Tim
let's just talk about like the books in general. So the Bat books didn't get shaken up a lot. Them and Green Lantern were largely left untouched because of, some would say, behind-the-scenes power broking. I don't know. But they decided to make some drastic changes to Tim Drake's character. Tim Drake's now a cover name.
Mm-hmm.
A kid who was too smart decided to try to crack Batman's identity. Batman caught him and stopped him. So he decided to incite a war with the Penguin by stealing all his money. He then came and attacked his family. His family put him in his protection. He's adopted under the cover of Tim Drake. I think this cheapens and bastardizes one of my favorite characters. Very important origins. You're 1,000% right.
It does. It 100%
does. About this origin.
It not only does it cheapen him, the costume wasn't that great.
Costume's terrible.
Costume was terrible. He was also never a Robin. A flat-on Robin. He became Red Robin. He never took on the name Robin and the actual name Robin, and never wore the actual Robin suit. He wore the Red Robin suit, but that was
But he did wear a Las Vegas showgirl costume, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I didn't. It was one of those changes.
But you know what? You know what happened in New 52 that I did love?
Well,
I don't know if you read this. Batman Eternal.
I didn't read that, but I've heard about it.
Okay. The Batman Eternal was a year-long weekly limited series, and it was written by Scott Snyder, James Tynion IV, Ray Fawkes, Kyle Higgins, and Tim Seeley.
Basically, everybody who's written something good with Batman.
Yes.
I just listened to this list of names. I'm like, shit. That's like everybody who's written anything good with Batman.
So it's 1 year of extending the Bat family, of fighting different aspects of Batman, and of one big plan against him. And the series opens with Batman tied to a bat signal while Gotham City's burning, and no one, and the guy, and someone on panel saying it's all been leading to this. So it starts with Commissioner Gordon somehow blowing up or causing two trains to collide at a crime scene and being found guilty for the murder of all those people. And it unravels from there. And you see you see Batgirl, Red Hood, and Batwoman working together. You see Tim Drake meet Stephanie Brown. He meets Harper Row, who you'll know from the Bat books. It's showing all these origins. It's expanding the Bat universe in a way that I didn't really think was going to happen in 52. Selena Kyle is intricately involved. Hush is involved, and you think it's all about Hush, and it's just really, really, really well done. I was really happy with the whole thing, and what happened was eventually. Do you mind if I spoil here?
No, go right ahead. 'Cause like I said, this is I don't think we covered when we did Tim Drake the first time. We didn't do this. I was going to mention we didn't cover the Red. We covered the Red Robin stuff. So if anybody's going, you guys skipped over the Red Robin stuff. Listen to Tim Drake when we covered the Red Robin stuff.
I love the Red Robin stuff.
Yeah, it's great. We covered it in there. So, but we didn't cover the Batman Eternal stuff. So please go ahead and cover this one.
So it turns out that everything that's happening is strings are being pulled. Because on the end of the Night of Owls, if you remember from the Bat books, Owlman killed all the people sitting at the table.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, before Batman found them, someone else walked in and said, "I had a plan to bring down Batman, and all he could find was Lincoln March." He says, "I'll help you with your plan." That man was the motherfucking Clue Master, Stephanie Brown's dad, Arthur Brown. What Hush did for Riddler, this does for Clue Master.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. It's a really good. It's 52 issues. It's a lot of reading, but it's really good. And my favorite thing about it is it leads into Batman and Robin Eternal. Because what you'll notice that happens here is that Dick Grayson never appears. Because this is during the time when Dick Grayson's dead in New 52.
Mm-hmm.
But then they tell Batman and Robin Eternal. And it's a story where Batman never appears in the present because it's after Batman, it's after Endgame in the Scott Snyder run.
Yep.
And it's the story of the Robins. And it's awesome. And it introduces Jean-Paul Valley, introduces Cassandra Cain. It tells you that there's been a sleeper cell of made-to-order child assassins that during a mission against the Scarecrow, Batman set Robin up Dick to look up bad so that he would be offered one of the assassins.
Mm-hmm.
It's them closing a cold case from Bruce, the boys. And it's great. And it sets the table for probably my favorite Bat family book in a very long time, the Detective Comics run with James Tynion IV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a lot of table setting here because I think so. After Endgame, that's why I read. Did you read Robin Son of Batman?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that one. I like seeing Damian kind of going off on his own and basically atoning for everything he did. Because basically, what happened was he to be ready, under his terrible parents, terrible mother and grandfather. He was set up to. He had the year of blood, where he had all these different things he had to go do to fill a full commitment. Now there was some side story back here that Ray didn't tell him, but it was a lot of death, a lot of destruction, a lot of things going on. When he becomes Robin and when he comes over with Bruce, they basically take all the things that he did, all the trophies he had taken, put them on the sub, and basically almost like sunk them. Put them in on Rachel Allen and stuff like that. And Damian decides that, and again, this is after Endgame. Damian decides that if he's going to be Robin, if he's going to make his father proud, he had to go in and atone for all the things he's done. One of those being when he had killed Nobody. That villain's daughter shows up, Maya, and tries to kill him, and they form a friendship. And like I thought it was actually good because again, it shows you the growth of Damian, and shows that like you said, like there's that one point where Maya hits him and knocks his tooth out, and they're talking, and he's like, yeah, so he was like, yeah, it's fine. She got an apology for knocking the tooth out. He was like, it's fine, it was loose anyway. She's like, what, all the fighting? He was like, no. And she's like, wait, was that a baby tooth? And she starts laughing at him because you forget it's like he's a baby. Like everything he's done, and you get this, just like, you really are a child. You still have your baby teeth, you know. So I really enjoyed that because like his mother comes back, Talia comes back, and this is after she had him killed by the adult clone of himself. I know all that sounds fucking weird. It's not as weird when you read it, but it makes sense. He's clearly not happy to see his mother because she had him killed, you know. But she's now trying to help save him and stuff like that. So I enjoyed Robin Son of Batman. I thought it gave really good. It gave way more depth to the character. So if you're really trying to figure out and see where Damian's mind is, I thought that was a good one to have.
I think DC editorials kind of heard the Damian's a dick thing because even in like the Titans book, Teen Titans book, they softened some of the edges. Not in the new one. He's an asshole in the new one. But in the old one, they softened some of his edges. I'm sure they'll do that here as he gets closer to this team. But it's been interesting. Like you said, he had a couple of guest appearances over in Nightwing right before Metal that I thought were really interesting and kind of highlighted their relationship. And I just think that they've done a really good job. The Superboy and Batman book, or excuse me, the Super Sons book was actually really entertaining.
Yeah,
and him and John Kent are really good playing off each other. And that's I've learned to appreciate Damian Wayne's place in the mythos. And I don't know if you're reading the new Titans book, but post No Justice, he's determined that the Justice League doesn't go far enough. And he's apparently early in the book, you're like, oh God, he's killing criminals. But in actuality, he's holding them in some sort of underground prisons, kind of like the Flash television show. And they recently revealed this week, spoilers, that the person helping him organize all this is Jason.
Of course.
So I think we're getting a bit more of a Robin confrontation down the road, particularly when you talk about everything that happened in my favorite Bat family book, Detective Comics.
Yeah, but before you get into that, because I want to get into what you were saying about Damian and kind of soften him. This is something from like Volume 2 of the Teen Titans book I was seeing. It's he's talking to his dad, right? He's like, I was like, where you been, Father? I've been trying to hail you for days. There's a lot going on in Gotham right now, Robin. I may need you to return soon. This is a secure line. You can call me Damian. You know, if you're calling to tell me what happened with Deathstroke, Nightwing gave me the full report. I repeat my request that a Teen Titans somewhat weekly brief to me. Just listen for a minute. I want to ask you about how the Justice League delegates responsibilities and holds its members accountable. We can talk this weekend, but first some advice. Stay out of the spotlight, all of you. No more talking to reporters. Shut down Beast Boy's vlog. Can't believe Beast Boy has a vlog. You've been attracting too much attention lately. Once people know you, they have power over you. Know me. Give them hope, but don't be their entertainment. Batman out. You don't know a damn thing about me. And this is when Raven walks in. She kind of calls Damian out, and this is like, she kind of, again, it's the whole idea of showing, seeing through Damian, and she kind of calls him just like, oh, you're just a kid trying to get the approval of his father. She's like, you don't have to prove anything to him. You don't have to prove anything to anybody else. You're trying too hard. And once you see those aspects of Damian, you're like, oh, I kind of get it. A kid in his point of view would try too hard. And I think as long as they can keep showing that kind of stuff and seeing that around there, the character will soften and get up on you, kind of get it. Because, not gonna lie, when he sets his Teen Titans team up when he puts his Teen Titans team together in Rebirth, he's such an asshole. He literally kidnaps them.
Yeah, yes. We can all understand it. We can get it. He's still a dickhead. And I still bask in this issue where Tim Drake whips his ass in Red Robin. I love that.
he doesn't know how to make friends. He doesn't know how to make small talk. He doesn't know how to do the simplest things. So his way of making friends is, but again, when you think about it, it's like, would it be this different from what Bruce would do if Bruce wasn't Batman?
Bruce has earned it. Bruce does do this.
Right.
That's the thing. Is from an adult who's super competent, it's like, okay, I have to take it because he's fucking Batman. From a child, it's like, fuck you, you're a child.
Yeah. Like, I remember, if you go back to before New 52, when they had the Teen Titans issues there, when Dick kind of brings them to the Teen Titans, is like, hey, listen, this is Damian. He's gonna join you guys. Damian's like, all right, cool. I'm in charge now. It's like, no. That you're misunderstanding. You're not in charge. You're just gonna join the team. It's like, well, you led the team, so obviously the team is led by Robin. So I am leading the team now. It's like, just give him what he wants, guys. He's such a little dick.
He's the worst.
He's the worst. He's the worst. He's such a spoiled little brat, yo. And everybody just looks at him like, are you fucking serious? What's wrong with you? You know? I mean, again, in this part, he had kicked off Wally, kicked Wally off the team and stuff like that. Like, he's mini Batman. And it's like, Batman qualities in Batman are barely tolerable, but when Batman qualities are in like an 8-year-old, fuck no.
Just want to put the 8-year-old in the locker.
Again, last thing, we'll move on to the Detective Comics one. Because I love this part. Is like when he goes off in that. So he dies in Batman Incorporated. I can't remember what the issues. I'll make sure we put the issue numbers into the show notes. But when he goes off to die, Batman goes off and everybody's going off to try to stop what Talia's plan. And Bruce tells him to stay in the cave with Alfred. And he basically tells Alfred, like, listen, I gotta go out there and do this. This is what I have to do. Batman needs Robin. This is my duty as Robin. I have to go out there and I have to save them. So, he tells Alfred, it's like, yo, just tell Dad that I beat you up and I got away from you and that's how I did it. He's like, yeah, but like you can't get out of the cave though. The cave has a voice lock on it. You can't do that. And he just clears his throat and says Bruce Wayne acting. He does Bruce's voice to unlock the cave. You're like, God damn it, he really is mini Batman. He's mini Bruce.
He's the worst.
He's the worst. But so is Bruce. That's the thing about it, is like, so is Bruce. Like, when you think about it, it's like, some people, they work with Bruce without, you guys don't actually like Bruce. Like, you guys actually think he's kind of a dick.
I say, like, Dick's the one that, if they had a choice, they'd rather call Dick.
Yeah.
But they call Bruce.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, all right, so let's get into this, Rebirth Detective Comics, because this is really what we did this for. We really wanted to come back in and revisit Tim Drake, because the Detective Comics book really kind of shows you the importance of Tim Drake. So you want to go and take it from there?
I mean, it opens up with Batman saying he's going to start a team. And he brings back Tim, puts Tim back in the old suit. Tim's like, okay, what's up with you gave me money, I have all these stupid, crazy plans. You're letting me do them. What's the deal? And Bruce tells him that he just wants to be better, more effective. We'll figure out if that's true or not later on, but he recruits a team. He recruits Batwoman to train the team and run the team. Well, while putting Tim on it, which is also kind of like, yeah, you're in charge, but you're not in charge. Like, right. Tim's in charge.
Right.
Like, we all have, okay, we're listening in the field. We all know who's in charge, right? It's Tim. And they recruit Spoiler. They recruit Orphan, fresh off of Cassandra Cain, fresh off of the Batman and Robin Eternal. And they recruit motherfucking Clayface.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually Batwing. But we'll start with just Clayface. So when I'm reading this the first time, that's kind of where it got me. I was like, Clayface, huh? All right, Tinian, let's see what you got.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulls off something that not only is like it's a masterful character story in studying all the characters. He balances all these plates, the rotating cast, the demands of these casts, and it's just really impressive run. But focusing on what we're here to focus on, in one of the opening arcs, he kills Tim Drake. And not like, oh, he's beaten up by a crowbar and blown up, kills. Like, everyone watches him get shot and blown up.
It's actually kind of a badass.
Oh, because, yeah, it's a really good point. So, at this point in the fight, a drone of attack drones are being descending on Gotham, take out targets on the colony's list. The colony is bad idea genes. It's probably what's actually happening in the world. Let's not talk about it. And Tim decides he can reprogram all the drones, but he can't make them destroy each other. He can only retask them to a specific target, and he retasks them to himself. And then he survives the first wave. There's a second wave. And he's on comms saying goodbye to everyone. And he goes out, let's just call it heroically. Like he saves Gotham. And his team mourns. Stephanie ends up leaving the team. Bruce goes pretty much batshit insane. Batwoman's second-guessing everything. They bring on Batwing. They bring on Azrael. And they only find out Tim's alive.
It was like a few issues before you find out that. Well, actually, no. At the end of that, right? The end of that issue, you do. You're right.
We see he's in a cage, and they tie this tying this to the Oz effect in Superman, and they tie it to, I assume, what's going to happen with
Doomsday Clock.
Okay, so I folded and read this month's issue, and the Naked Blue Man appears in a very explicit way.
Okay.
So I guess that's where we're definitely headed. And he finds out that he's been trapped somewhere outside space and time. Because he's Tim Drake, he outsmarts his captor, decodes Kryptonian technology, and breaks out. His captor leaves. He's trying to find a way to get back home. And he accidentally opens a cell. And he meets Batman. But it's not Batman. It's not Bruce. It's Tim Drake from the future. If you remember in pre-New 52, Titans of Tomorrow, it's that Tim Drake. It's that Batman. Kind of fascist, carries a gun? Yeah, that Batman.
Kind of fascist?
And Batman and Robin take on and defeat Doomsday. 2 Tim Drakes, 1 Doomsday equals a win for the Tim Drakes. I'm as shocked as you are. Eventually, they find their way back into the timeline. And future Tim decides that he still has time to not let his future come true. Without realizing that he's not in his past. Because when future Tim says, and make up with Connor, he's your best friend, you need it. Tim's only reply is, who's Connor? Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, fuck you, DC. Now you got to bring back Connor Kent. Like, you can't do this. I won't allow it.
Well, so what, because, you know, I went and told you we were doing this, so I went ahead and cut up in all of the comments. I feel like they kind of have to, because now what they've established now is...
I know. The other kid's back, too.
Right. So what they've now kind of... You said what now?
2 of the 3 Young Justice founders are back.
Right. So what they've kind of done here is establish that, you know, between it's been a really, really slow burn here across the DC universe, because they've been kind of messing with this also over in the Flash book with, you know, what Barry did with the Flashpoint and messing with the timelines, and things are different and things aren't the same. Like, you know, have Commander Cold here, and he's like, well, my timeline is messed up and gone now. Like, so there's clearly something going on here, and yeah, because what they kind of establish here, this whole thing is that this Rebirth universe is a different timeline than the one we know where some of those other things happen. Because, I mean, kind of jumping to the end of the Detective Comic run, at one point when Stephanie and Cassandra are there, they see themselves with the bat symbol. Cassandra sees herself as Batgirl, and Steph sees herself as a Robin.
And as Batgirl.
And she's like, oh, wait, she's like, oh, out there at some point, I know that they let me in. I wasn't just some outsider, some extended family. I was family, you know? And so I'm very interested in seeing how they bring all this together. Not to, you know, there's more to the story that you're telling here, but it's very interesting to see how they're finally bringing this. They're making that stuff matter.
I was reading it month to month, and I was like, are you reading this? You're like, no. I'm like, God damn it. I need to talk about this with somebody.
Yeah, I remember.
They're setting up something that I can't talk about unless you're reading this.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And it's gonna. I think if they pull off what they think they're trying to pull off, if you tie it into to Metal and No Justice, something big's coming.
Absolutely,
it's really interesting's coming, and I'm pretty excited for it because people say, "Oh, what's the next DCU?" It's not Doomsday Clock. Doomsday Clock's probably the last piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because can I spoil this week's Doomsday Clock?
Go right ahead. I don't. I'm.
Beginning of the book. Let's open the beginning of the book. You get to see the accident where the train derails and Alan Scott grabs the lantern and becomes the Green Lantern. Then John goes back and moves the lantern 6 inches to the left. Alan Scott dies in the train crash. That's one of the first things he changed. So what we're shown definitively via Tim Drake coming back as Batman is that he's the best Batman. He beats the dog shit out of Bruce Wayne in his prime and all 4 Robins.
Yeah.
He beats the dog shit out of them. It's so wild to think about. Because as was shown in the Tim Drake Red Robin book is, I don't have to be better fighters than them. I should take what I know they know.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, hey, Jason, at one point, a bone didn't heal right when you were resurrected. You're not going to find it out for about 6 more years. You're welcome. And he just hits him in it.
Right.
And then he gets Bruce close and says, you're not worried that I become Batman. He says, you are worried I become Batman because you're worried this entire life's a curse. You know how I know that? You told me on your deathbed. And you see Batman slip. He says, all I knew to a point, I had to get you emotionally compromised for a second and then I could win.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's some dirty fucking pool.
Yeah. Tim Drake as Batman is scary.
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
However, he comes in, he ends up winning. He's trying to kill Batwoman to prevent his future. He's convinced that was what it'll do. And then the boys fly a bunch of jets into the Belfry and blow up all those damn drones. And then the banter of the Robins while they're flying jets is hilarious. Because when Tim broke into the cave, he fried all the comms. He fried all the tech. But Bruce, of course, has jets. Not like Bat jets or cute jets. No, jets.
Mm-hmm.
And he has 4 of them, and they can all fly them because they're Bat kids. And Tim takes down his future self. He stops him. He stymies him, and he fades into hyper time. Though he popped up in an amazing... Did you ever read that Teen Titans run?
Which Teen
Titans? Fighting future Tim?
No.
Oh, Connor shows up. Adult Bart shows up. Cassie shows up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you got to... I would suggest you take a look at those. I think it's like a 4-issue back and forth, but Tim takes on a new identity in our time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's basically like, I just got to fix this. And eventually Connor, Superboy, and Superman all work together. And Connor's like, I can't tell you who I am, but yeah, it's nice to see. I don't worry, I've earned this S. Superman says, I trust him. I don't know why. Yeah, it's a wild hyper time, like, oh, they're planning something big shit here. But yeah, and then it goes on from there, and they fight the colony one more time to wrap up the whole book. But this time, his kind of, I guess, other number, the anti-Tim, if you will, Lonnie, or excuse me, Ulysses Armstrong, excuse me,
yeah,
hacked
Tim.
the Batman suit.
Well, he wasn't Tim. He was basically...
It was Ulysses.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hacked in the Batman suit, and that's where I was able to show Seth and Cassandra during the fight what they were in another world. He did it to depress them, but it actually just, like you said, inspired them. It showed them, you guys are the family.
Well, what happens when Tim when so they defeat Tim, future Tim goes back, and he's basically like, tells his current self, is like, you can fix this. You can't trust Kate. You can't trust Kate Kane. You can't do this. So Tim goes forward, and he's constantly from that point on, he's back, but he's constantly thinking about what he can do to prevent being that self. Because remember, Tim's the one Robin who never really wanted to be in the bat suit. So to see himself in the bat suit is kind of jarring for him.
Well, and even have his future self tell him how he ended up there. Dick tried, but Dick moved on. That's what he does as an acrobat.
Mm-hmm.
Jason almost got himself killed. And then you refused to take it. And then when you saw what Damian had done,
you had to put him down.
You had to put him down.
What do you mean put him down? You had to put him down.
You had to put him down.
I
think I mean.
Yeah.
And so it becomes more the price to be the bat. And before Tim, quote unquote, died, he was planning on telling Batman he was leaving for college.
Yeah. That was his thing. He was giving up.
He's come back, and he hasn't told Steph, but he says, Pax Batmana. He can have everything. He can solve it all. and he can't. And he tries, and what future Tim kind of warned him about comes to pass because things happen with Batwoman. She ends up having to put down, or think she had to put down, Clayface.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what splinters the team because you wear that bat, you don't get to kill.
Right.
That's the trade-off. And then we get Detective Comics 975, my favorite comic book in the last 10 years, probably. The Trial of Batwoman. All 4 Robins and Batgirl and Batman are in the cave. And you get kind of the highlights of all their personalities, of how they actually view what they do. They're trying to vote, should Kate keep the bat?
Mm-hmm.
And Dick opens, and Dick's hopeful. It's Dick. I mean, hey, look, it's who he is. I was sorry how it all ended up, but I keep thinking of what you would have done if I had made that call. You might not have thrown me in jail, but I don't think I'd be sitting at this table without some serious atonement. I say there's a path for her to earn trust back, but she's not there right now, and I'm not sure she should wear the bat in the meanwhile. And then Damien's a dick, because that's Damien. None of you are family. And then Jason gives a really good point of view. He explains it, says, I'm not going to argue about killing in the cave. I respect the cave. I respect you guys. I'm not going to do that. He says all this, and this is something I talked about during the Jason part 1 of this. He talks about how important this is to him and how hard he worked to get it back. And how he wouldn't want to lose it. He says, but I don't like this. I don't like a trial. This isn't about her killing Clayface. You have your rules, you have your way of doing things, and she decided your way wasn't enough. She hurt your ego, and now you're throwing a tantrum because somebody you respect broke your rules. Family is family. I can make room on the black sheep side of the table if I need to, but she stays. And then, because she's actually the smartest, Barbara Gordon reads Bruce Wayne in a way that I've never thought it was possible. She explains to him, Barbara, you're quiet. Yes, I am. I don't need the notes here. I just need to write down. They're on my head. Do you even know what I do? She argues with Dick, of course, is what she does. What I need is a little more information. Bruce, what was the purpose of the Belfry? Tim tries to interject. It was to, Tim, I need you to believe me that I'm not trying to offend you, but this isn't an answer I need from an idealistic teenager. You had evidence a paramilitary group called the Colony was looking to recruit Gotham's unaffiliated heroes. You believe they're going to recruit Batman when they lead? Yes. So you needed a way to beat them to the punch, and you just so happened to have a protege who was pushing for years so that something like this happened, you could throw enough money at and have built the whole thing for you. And then she goes on to explain that he didn't want her to be a soldier. He wanted her to be a bat. He wanted to force her to live by his rules to prove that his mother would approve of his mission.
Mm.
Dog. It's one of those almost drop the tablet moments.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing it because Kate is the closest living connection you have to your mother, Martha, to her family, to the kind of person she was. And you're afraid that Martha would have wanted you to take that shot. And that throws a lot more into question whether or not Kate can wear the bat. You can't take her bat away, Bruce. Only she can. She's not a teenage orphan or your son or the daughter of the police commissioner. You can't ground her, take away her credit card, or stop training her. You can only come to grips with who she is and what she means to you. And if you want to make the case that at some point she's out of control, dangerous, needs to be stopped, and if you make a good case, I'll fight side by side with all of you, and we'll take her down. Until then, Jason's right, although not as right as he thinks he is. This isn't about her, it's about you. The only person who could put Kate Kane on trial is Kate Kane. From what I know of her, that's exactly what she's putting herself through right now. Whatever she decides, we're all going to live with the consequences. Ladies and gentlemen, Barbara Gordon.
She's always been able to read Bruce, though, so.
Jesus Christ. Yo, and Tim reacts so predictably. He's so mad. The next few issues are him trying to prove that it's okay, and he's so mad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, because Batman kind of agrees. He's like, yo, she's right. And tries to shut down what Bruce. Because basically, a couple of things that Tim has done with all that money that Bruce has given him, he had set up the Gotham Knight protocols. He had set up the Belfry. He basically set up a way for Batman to be everything and everywhere all the time, so that if Batman goes down, there's always a Batman. There's always, like you said, he based up his own colony. He set up his own paramilitary.
That's Batman.
Yeah. Right. So it's like, and he went and so what Tim didn't understand, and what we know from time travel, everything, Tim was already going down this road. The fact of the matter is, you keep going down the way you're going. This is what leads you to this place. Like, your future has dictated your past by now because you know what the future is. You are now even more engaged in trying to make sure that future doesn't happen, which only cements it even more, which is what Tim was doing. And yeah, Batman shuts it down and says, no, we got to stop this. And Tim gets completely frustrated. And like that's when Ulysses comes in and tells him, it keeps showing him all more what happens and keeps showing him this idea that this, Kate ends up killing Batman in the future. She ends up killing Bruce in the future. And you have to show up and you have to put her down. And if you stop it now, you can stop all this stuff from happening. But he hasn't shown the truth. The truth is, Bruce in the future, in that timeline, wanted that. He asked Kate to do this, and
he was dying.
Right, he was dying, and he had left messages for all the Robins and all the kids. Because at that point, Tim had gone off to college. He had gone off to college, and he finds this. He sees this message, and he walks in on, Kate in the colony taking down Batman, taking down Bruce, taking down Batman, and which also I heard that the president was President Waller, which is scary.
Yeah, terrifying. Like the little details get really scary.
Yeah, it's terrifying. And so, but what Tim didn't see the whole story, and Ulysses wasn't showing him this whole story. And this whole story involves they bring in the Brother Eye, OMAC, the OMAC protocol. All this stuff happens here, but the key thing here is that in order to stop this, Tim has to kind of let go. Tim has to stop worrying that, and it's so funny because where he began from, Tim is taking on the mission of Batman so much and so serious now because, like you said, he has this innate desire to do good. And so he didn't want to leave without leaving something behind to make sure all this stuff was there. But even then, like Kate kind of calls him out on this before after the I think it was after the no. Before the trial of Kate, when they still had the team together, Kate calls him out on this because he brings Stephanie in on something that basically tells her that he's trying to put things in place so that he can leave to go off to college. And Stephanie and Kate kind of calls him on. It's like, Tim, does she know? He's like, what are you talking about? Does she know you're trying to be Batman? You're setting all this stuff up so you can take over when need be. You're making it seem like you're telling her you're doing all this stuff so you can leave it behind, but I see what you're doing, and you're not leaving this behind. You're doubling down. You're getting more and more involved. So, yeah, and what I love about this, so good guys win the day, and Tim decides he's not going to go down this path, but at the end, him and Stephanie don't go off to school. They go somewhere else. And I'm really excited to see what they do with Tim. Like he became a very, very important piece in this puzzle going forward, what DC is doing with this rebirth line.
Well, we know he's going to matter because Oz took him off the table.
Yeah. Well, he
you can't be here.
Yeah. So
it's so wild because I just opened 980 just right before reading this. I just noticed on the cover that it's Batman, spoiler, and Orphan, but the silhouettes is 3 bats. Mm-hmm. Like the silhouettes behind them have the pointed. Man, it's a really great run. It's a really great character piece on all the what you may call minor Bat characters, and the knowledge that this reaches out somehow back to New 52, and all those stories matter, and that all their growth mattered, and Stephanie and Cassandra realizing that somewhere deep down that they could wear the bat, giving them the strength. Like it's. I really enjoyed Detective Comics run as far as an analysis or character piece on those characters.
It's serious, and like I said, I think this is why I'm glad that we're ending. Because we've done almost all of the major Batman characters here. I'm glad we're ending with the Detective Comics run because you're serious. Like you're right. It kind of shows you that they're, even though New 52 happened, they're bringing all this stuff back together so that those stories matter. Because that's always been the crazy thing about doing any of these character corners with DC. So much of this backstories don't matter anymore. And like having them come back in and reaffirm that the things that made these characters the characters we love so much are the canon, or at least existed. Like now I want to go and I got to read that Teen Titans issue with, we talking about when Connor's there, because again, like those are the 3 friends, and we know that from the Flash books that Impulse is running around somewhere. You know,
Mhm.
again, that's the Young Titan. That's the Young Justice team. That's we need those three together.
If they show up to save the day in one of these big events, I'm gonna be very happy.
Yeah, I mean, we need that. These are core characters, and those relationships matter. And I think that was the biggest thing. And we can. Was there anything else you wanted to you put in here before we wrap this up?
No, I just really, I thought it was great. I thought it was really well done. And yeah, this whole thing, and Tim Drake is one of those comic book characters that, because of when you and I grew up, that it resonates with us, but not just because of that. Own solo series for 16 years, the cornerstone, as we can see, of some things that are happening on multiverse level. And Damian Wayne is growing, and the fact that I can say he's growing says he's growing.
Yeah. And I think that's the key thing here. The thing about DC and what I think they're finally understanding with these comic books is the relationships matter. Yes, things change. Yes, you can change those relationships, as they go on. But the history of the relationships have to matter and they have to remain. You can move and that was the thing that killed me, because it's like before New 52, you were seeing that movement. You were seeing Cassandra go from being Batgirl to being something else. You were seeing Tim Drake go from being Robin to being Red Robin, and so you can always move on. Like we've done it with Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson went from being Robin to being Nightwing to later on becoming a secret agent. Like all this stuff happening. I went through and read Robin Wars and seeing what was happening with the Robins, and each of the Robins are so distinct. Like having those relationships matter, and you can't just cut that stuff out and pretend like the characters are still there because you put them in a similar costume. Like you have to have that core of the character remain, and it's good to see some of that stuff coming back with Rebirth to kind of flesh it out and show that there are missing pieces and missing relationships and missing things that do matter. Now, I will say this: while I am happy to see that they're adjusting it, they have to be very, very careful because they've made so many changes. It's going to get messy.
Yeah,
it's already messy. But if they can finally correct this, and this is what gives me hope with the Rebirth stuff, is they are taking actually a long fucking time.
Yeah, slow playing it.
They are slow burning it, which I appreciate, because old DC would have done all this stuff in a year, and they have not, which I appreciate. And we'll see how that works out. So, but there you guys have it. That is our character corner. Kind of just talk through on Tim Drake and Damian Wayne. Like I said, we didn't do a lot of going through specific issues all that much because we cover both of these characters a lot. Like I said, if you listen to any other character corners or any other back characters, we're going to talk about these two because Damian takes care of all the modern stuff when it comes to Batman, and Tim Drake was Robin for most of the stuff before then. So listen to those two character corners, and we'll go from there. See what things do we have to make announcements for. Like I said, next month we're going to be doing Ultimate Spider-Man, and I guess talking about Spider-Man, the PS4 video game, because yes,
yeah. I'll wait for that. I'll wait for you to finish. Let's talk about the Stitcher.
Oh, yes. If you are, we brought this up before. If you are a Stitcher right now, we brought this up a few months ago. They were doing the podcast Wolverine: The Long Night. It is now on Stitcher for on the regular feed for free. They're releasing it, I think, one episode at a time, once a week. If you want to listen to the entire thing and just binge the entire thing and don't wait, you can sign up for Stitcher Premium. You can still use our code. Go to Stitcher.com/premium. I believe that's the link for it, and use the code Tuesday, and you will get a free month of Stitcher Premium. Stitcher Premium comes with no ads. I think it's like $5 a month, so you can get a free month off for that using the code Tuesday. So sign up for that. I know some of you guys have already done that. They actually hit me up and said, "Hey, yeah, some people have used the code. Here's your money for it." I was like, "Oh shit, I completely forgot about this." So please go out there if you want to try it. And again, it's not just for Wolverine: The Long Night. I mean, it's Stitcher Premium. If you use Stitcher a lot for listening, get Premium and get no ads. Like, why not? It's not a bad deal. Also, check our pinned tweet on the MTR Network on Twitter. We have our store with our TeePublic store is there. I want to say this. The link is tpublic.com/stores/MTR-network, and you can see our shirts up there on TeePublic as well. There'll be a link in the show notes for that. So yeah, stay tuned, folks. We will be back probably in a couple weeks. We got New York Comic Con next week, so I'll be busy with that. But we'll come back and we'll be dealing with Ultimate Spider-Man in October. Don't know what we're going to do in November, but I do know December we have to do Aquaman because Aquaman's coming out. So we will be doing Arthur Curry.
For Spider-Man, we have to do Aquaman.
We got to do Aquaman. I mean,
whole obligation.
It is an obligation. So
but the thing is, like DC, it's so tough because there's like 5 different origins for Aquaman.
That's why I'm not really excited about doing this because I don't know where to start. Now, I'm not saying there aren't some good runs. There are, but I was just like. It's not as bad as Hawkman, but like nothing is as bad as Hawkman. But like it just feels like a lot going on. Like, are we doing one arm Aquaman, 2 arm Aquaman, young Aquaman? What Aquaman are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. Because the thing for me was post Infinite Crisis, they killed an Aquaman, and then it was a kid who it was all very real. There's one specific like 4-year stretch in the mid 2000s where Aquaman gets super weird and confusing. Can't wait.
Welcome to DC. So that'll be coming in. We'll figure out what we're going to do in November. Maybe we'll do another DC character in November. I don't know. We'll figure something out. So anyway, folks, thank you guys very much for listening. And until next time, we're out of here. Peace.